Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Olivia. I am a new mom, and today I'm going to be sharing my birth plan slash preferences. I like to refer to it as preferences versus a plan, because we all know plans don't always go as planned. So I put a lot of thought and preparation into my birth experience, and I ended up having a really positive, natural, unmedicated birth. And you can go watch my birth story here if you want to check it out. But yeah, it went great. I had a really healthy delivery, a really healthy recovery. I'm 2 months postpartum, and I have gotten a lot of requests to share my birth plan. So I'm going to share that today. Keep in mind that, you know, these are all my personal preferences for myself. Everyone is entitled to their own preferences and their own opinions on things. So kind of just have to make that disclaimer, because I know the birth, world can be very like, what's the word? Okay, I'm having brain fart, but you know what I mean. It can be like problematic sometimes. Like, people just have very strong opinions about it. But again, this is my preferences, my birth plan. I did have a doula. I did take a childbirth class. I took a hypnobirthing class. So a lot of what's on my birth plan is from what I learned in that class. And a lot of what is on the plan is kind of a template that it's pulled from the template that my doula gave me, and then also pulled from some various templates on the internet of just like different points I wanted to make. And I kind of made sure I had a few different examples when pulling together my list of things that I wanted. Luckily, I had such a great experience with my hospital and my care team. I got really lucky. I delivered with my midwife. I actually never saw a doctor my whole pregnancy. I was a low-risk pregnancy, which I'm very thankful for. So my midwife was able to deliver me, which was great because I loved her so much. And my team of nurses were incredible. They're amazing at Flagler Hospital in St. Augustine, so shout out them. But they were super respectful of my wishes, and I had kind of heard from my doula ahead of time that this practice in particular, in this hospital in particular, was great about respecting wishes for like non-invasive births, unmedicated births, etc., etc. Because I know not everyone has that experience. A lot of people go into hospitals and the staff will be maybe a little more like hesitant for a natural labor. They kind of just want to like do things the way they're used to doing things, and will sometimes pressure women to do things how they want them to be done versus how the mother wants it to be done. So I'm very, very thankful for my care team and them respecting my wishes. So without further ado, let's get into it. This might be a little lengthy, but I don't want to miss any details because it's a lot. And like, I learned all of this with time, so I don't want anyone to watch this and be like overwhelmed and be like, what the fuck? Because it took time for me to learn what all this was, learn why I wanted it this way versus that way. So if you're like new in this process of learning about birth and trying to decide what you want for yourself, don't let this overwhelm you. You have time, and also you can go in without a birth plan, without preferences, and have an incredibly beautiful birth. You don't need this. I'm the type of person who likes to be prepared. Having this made me feel less nervous. For some people, it might make you feel more nervous to have all this information and, you know, just think about it more, and that's totally fine. For me, I know myself, the way I personally can avoid anxiety is knowing as much as possible about what to expect. So this was really good for me. The birth plan, if you're wondering like what do you do with it, because that was kind of my question too in the beginning. So I printed out a few versions, and I brought one to like my 39 week appointment with my midwife at my OB office. I brought it with me to kind of go over in that appointment, and we went like line by line. She kind of explained things to me, and she was like, yep, this all looks good. And then I brought a few copies to the hospital for the nursing staff. And sometimes like they'll put it up, but I think mine was just kept on the counter nearby, and then the nurses all would read it before they came in so they knew what the vibes were. Okay, all that being said, let's get into it. I will also display it here for my people who are visual learners. I'm the same way, so hopefully that's helpful. I'll angle it this way so you can see it here. Okay, so at the top we have, and again, I do want to stress the importance of referring to this as preferences versus a plan, because it's just nothing ever goes as planned, and I, going into birth, was very flexible with giving myself the option of whatever I needed to do to honor myself and to honor my birth and to honor my baby. So I was not set to anything, and that's why I call them preferences. This is like what I would prefer in a dream scenario. However, if something happens, or if I'm in the moment and I change my mind, I'm giving myself that permission to do so. So at the top I have general information. That's just helpful for, I don't know why, the template that I found had that, so I put it there. And then I also have kind of like a statement at the top saying, thank you for taking care of us during this special time. We appreciate your support in helping us achieve a positive birth experience. Our intention is to have a physiological birth via hypnobirthing. The birth plan outlines our preferences, but we understand that flexibility may be necessary for the safety and well-being of both mom and baby. Please include my husband Tyler and my doulas Kiana and Bonda in all discussions as labor advances. So that's kind of just like a message to the nurses and to the doctors that I want my doulas and it's obvious, but I don't have to explain it, but basically to discuss things with them and not just me when it comes to decision making. So next I have labor environment. I have lights, would prefer lights to be dimmed. Noise, please keep general noise level low to a minimum, including speaking voices. Music, I plan on bringing a speaker and or headphones for personal calming music. Clothing, I will have my own birthing robe. Hydration and nourishment, I prefer to stay energized by my own snacks and fluids for as long as possible. Pain scales, we would love it if you could please discuss my comfort levels rather than level of pain. Students, we would prefer no students to be present. Photography, we prefer no photography aside from our personal use. So this is all because mostly like the lights, the noise, the music is to create a calming environment for me, the mom, whoever we're referencing here. Because what I learned in my childbirth class is that the calmer the environment, the safer the mother feels, the more likely labor is to progress. If, you know, we feel like we're in danger or it's not necessarily a safe time to have a baby, our body is like scanning the room and reading those cues and might stall the labor until we get to a safer environment. This is, I mean, at the end of the day, like, we are mammals. Birth is the most primal thing that we'll ever do in our lifetime. So, yeah, basically our bodies kind of need those conditions to feel safe and for labor to progress the way we want it to. So that explains the reasoning behind the light. So when I got in, like, my husband closed the shades on all the windows to start making it like darker, and then I brought like a night light, a really pretty like blue night light that I actually got off TikTok shop, I'm pretty sure, but it created like a really great vibe. And then I had my speaker and I had meditation music playing. So that was the atmosphere. Is very chill, no harsh like fluorescent lighting from the hospital room. The birthing gown, joke's on me, I was naked the whole time, so I didn't even wear my birth robe. I think I wore, did I even wear it? I don't even think I wore it. Maybe I did in the very beginning, but if I did, it was taken off. Obviously, I don't even remember it, so it was taken off rather fast, and I was naked. I don't know why. It just happened that way. But like, even as an example, the birth robe is kind of just to feel more comfortable and for it to feel less like a medical thing. Like, it's not like a surgery, or it's not like, I don't know, it's kind of just like reframing the experience to be less scary or less intimidating. Okay. the rest is kind of self-explanatory. I didn't want any students in there, and I also didn't want any photography. Okay, then we go into labor. Spontaneous start to labor, we would like to use natural induction methods only until 42 weeks unless there is a medical emergency. That's obvious. I just wanted to avoid being induced. There's nothing wrong with being induced. However, it can sometimes lead to other medical interventions, and that can kind of be the start of a snowball effect. So ideally, I wasn't in a rush. Thankfully, I was pretty comfortable towards the end of my pregnancy, like all things considered. Obviously, it's not the most comfortable thing in the world being 40 weeks pregnant, but I wasn't so uncomfortable that I was like, please, for the love of God, get this baby out of me. So I was just being patient, and I didn't feel like I was in a rush to have her come out, and I kind of wanted to trust that my body will know and she will know when they're ready. So pretty much, I don't want to be induced. Augmentation, the use of natural means for any remediation before moving to any medical pharmacological augmentation of labor. I mean, I think that's kind of like the same thing, just saying that like I don't want Pitocin or any other medical thing, that we're gonna try natural stuff and before trying something unnatural. So for example, even like a membrane sweep I would consider natural, because it's like they physically go in and just swipe their finger, but it's not something that like you would take. Actually, I don't know about a membrane sweep, but there's other things that you can do naturally to try to get things going. Curb walking, you know, bouncing on a labor ball, things like that. So it's kind of just saying like, hey, I want to try these things before resorting to anything like superficial, I guess. Fetal monitoring, we would prefer intermittent monitoring using a fetoscope Doppler rather than the CT machine unless circumstances call for extended monitoring. Oh my god, I can't talk. Fetal scalp monitoring only if truly necessary. So for that, usually you'll see women like have a band around their belly. I opted for the version that is like hands-free because I wanted to be laboring in a tub as well. So, and I also wanted to just have freedom of movement. Sorry guys, it's been a while since I sat down to record. I wanted that freedom of movement to just go wherever I pleased versus being like strapped up to a machine and having to like stay in one spot. So they had this great monitoring that's like this little thing they put on my belly, and I was able to go wherever I wanted in the room. It was great. IV, if an IV is required, I preferred a Hep block or IV prep. So what I got, I declined having an IV. I didn't want to limit my movement around the room. So what they did, I think, is an IV prep where they put the needle in my arm so that it was like there and ready to go in case an emergency happened. Like it was like per their hospital protocol that they have to at least do that. So if something were to happen, they could just hook me up real quick and I would be good. But I didn't actually have it attached to anything at any point. And that was again to avoid being like strapped down and having to like walk around with a pole. Not strapped down, but you know what I mean. Labor to progress in its own time. We prefer no time limits placed on me if baby and I are doing well. So sometimes, you know, a doctor or nurses will be like, okay, you know, it's like things haven't progressed in like an hour, maybe we should start doing this or that. And this is kind of saying like, leave me alone, let me labor however I labor, as long as baby is okay, as long as I'm okay. Like, I'm patient, I'm not in a rush, let it play out naturally. Resting labor, we understand that labor can rest at times and we would like this time to rest ourselves. Self-explanatory. If oftentimes that does happen where labor will stop and then like medical teams will try to intervene and to try to like kick it back up to start again, but it's really just like a break. Your body just needs a break, and this is just me saying that I will gladly take that break and I don't want to do anything to kickstart it again. Membranes, we would prefer my membranes to remain intact until they release naturally. That is my my water breaking. So pretty much don't break my water unless you have to. and my water actually did end up breaking at the hospital, which is, it's funny because I got there and my nurse was like, did your water break yet? And I was like, I don't know, I don't think so. And she's like, okay. And she goes down there, she goes, cough, and I cough, and it literally broke. And we were like, oh, okay, it broke. So that was kind of just a funny side story. Vaginal exams, I accept minimal vaginal exams. Basically, I don't want my cervix to be checked every hour. If you have gotten a cervical check, you know that it's like a little invasive. Basically, their whole hand is up your vagina. So like, if I can avoid that as much as possible, I would love to. I ended up getting checked when I first got there, and then 3 times in total, which I felt like was good. And those last 2 times, I was like, I was the one who asked for it versus a doctor coming in being like, okay, where are you at? Like, let's check you. It's just unnecessary intervention, hands up there, pain, like discomfort, any like unnecessary discomfort I wanted to try to avoid. Water immersions, tub room. I would like to use the bath shower labor tub for comfort during labor. Luckily, my hospital had 2 rooms that had tubs in them, and they were just like normal bathtubs in the bathroom. And one of the rooms was open, thankfully, and I was able to get one. And I labored in the tub for about an hour or an hour and a half. Analgesics, I don't know how to say that, I'll be honest. Analgesics, please don't offer any analgesics. We are hoping for a medication-free birth, but we reserve the right to ask for something if I change my mind. I want to say that was an epidural. I don't know why it's such a fancy term here. Don't quote me on that, look it up yourself, but pretty sure that was saying like, I don't want an epidural, or I prefer to not have one unless I ask for one. Self-directed birthing, we would prefer the opportunity to allow for our baby to emerge physiologically according to the natural expulsive reflux, and to follow the prompts of my own body through self-directed breathing and bearing down, no coached pushing prompts. So this one was important for me because I wanted my body to push naturally versus the coaching, like the breathing coaching of the 1, 2, 3 push, and then pushing with all your might. Sometimes they call that purple pushing. I know it works, obviously everyone does it, but the body also naturally pushes, and that's what I wanted, and that's exactly what happened. Like towards the end, my contractions, like I was just pushing with my contractions. I wasn't even trying to. It was just like the natural urge that my body had to get my baby out, which I really liked because then I could kind of do it on my own terms. And I don't know, it was more so just like following my body versus following something outside of my body. Okay, delivery. Protecting the perineum. I am preparing to have an intact perineum, lol. I accept that I may tear naturally. Guys, I'm really horrible at pronouncing things. So that, only in cases of emergency, which is when they snip your skin down there. We prefer hands off the perineum and to use warm compresses. So that obviously is to just try to avoid tearing. I did tear, I had a 1st degree tear, so it wasn't bad. My midwife just stitched me right up after the stitches dissolved, and you kind of barely notice it, honestly. There's so much going on that's like kind of the last thing you're paying attention to. But this is pretty much just saying, don't cut me. Like if I tear, I tear, I don't want to be cut. Position checks. I would like to be free to move and choose labor and birthing positions that feel right for me. I would like to avoid birthing on my back. We would also prefer the option of using repositioning techniques if baby requires more optimal positioning. That is self-explanatory. Basically, I just want to be able to choose my positions during labor and during birth, which I did. I labored on my back when I first got there for a few hours, and then I labored in the tub. And then once I got out, I labored on all 4s for about 2 hours, 2 or 3 hours. I was on all 4s, and then I gave birth actually on my back / side. Like I was kind of like sideways, but then ended up kind of on my back. But that's just like the position I ended up in. And I think I was in like a happy baby position, like my legs were up and like scrunched. Our baby. When our baby is born, if possible, one parent to receive baby and only gentle wiping or drying of our baby. We understand vernix is beneficial for their skin. Please discuss any standard procedures that are performed on baby before they occur. So just saying, like, don't take our baby away from us. Avoid, like, the really harsh wiping down, cleaning, no bathing. Like, just let them come out and then put them on me, pretty much. Placenta birth. If my labor has been undisturbed, I would prefer a natural birth of the placenta without any manipulation and request up to 30 minutes for this process. Yeah, that's just saying, like, don't rush it. Let me take my time birthing my placenta. And it came out naturally pretty fast after, and that was not an issue. Delayed cord clamping. We would like to wait until the cord has stopped pulsating before the cord is cut. So we wanted that basically so that our baby could get all the last bits of nutrition and oxygen from the placenta before she was separated from it. And that's exactly what we did. We waited until it was white and ready to be cut. So that's what we did, and Tyler cut it and it was great. Okay, baby self-attachment. We love your patience while we give our baby the opportunity to do the breast crawl and self-attach for breastfeeding. That was great. They honored that, basically just letting her latch right away during skin to skin. So that's exactly what happened, and it was fantastic. Vitamin K. We were happy for our baby to receive the vitamin K injection. Hepatitis B. We declined the Hep B vaccination. And the erythromycin, I actually, on here I said yes. I believe that's the eye ointment. On here I said yes, but I'm pretty sure I declined it when I was there. Or I talked to my doula and she told me to maybe, I had changed my mind that I wanted to decline it. Anyways, the only thing I did get was the vitamin K. I do know that. But yeah, the eye ointment, I declined. Bonding time. We would love 1 to 2 hours uninterrupted bonding time, skin to skin after the birth with one or both parents. Baby to remain with parents at all times. All baby exams, including weighing and measuring, to please be delayed. This was great. I just hated the idea of them taking my baby away right after birth. That sounded horrible. So this was honored and it was great. Like that, those first few hours are so special and sacred, and really the only way I think it should be spent is doing skin to skin, like just to have your baby bond with you. So we loved that, and I definitely would advocate for that if that's something that's important to you as well. And like all the tests they can do, like they can do a lot while the baby is on you, and then anything else like can be delayed. So like they get a lot of tests done like at their 24-hour mark and things like that. Hi baby. She's like, shut up. First bath delayed. Again, there's something called vernix on their skin when they're first born, and it's like really good to protect their skin, and they're not really dirty. Like their skin has a very natural thing going on. I don't know the medical terms, but I do know that it's meant to protect them, and it shouldn't be washed off like first thing. Sleep in parents' recovery room. Our baby is only going to sleep with us, not going to sleep in the nursery. I want her by us at all times. And then at the very bottom we have in case of C-section, and it says, I'm focusing on giving birth vaginally. Please note that a cesarean is not one of my preferences, and this should only happen if there's a strong medical reason. If it is determined that a cesarean is medically necessary, I would like that the operation is performed as slowly and gently as possible, along with the following request. Birth companion. We would like that my partner stay with the baby at all times. Calm atmosphere. We would like the atmosphere to remain as calm and quiet as possible. Our birth space is to be respected. Music. We would love it for our music could be played during the procedure. Lighting. We would like it if our baby's eyes could be shielded from the bright light when he or she is born. Lower screen at birth. I would like the screen to be lower during the birth of our baby, and if possible, I would like to assist in receiving baby. This must be I think this is actually the first version of this birth plan, and then I made edits to it, but I ended up taking that out because my doulas just kind of suggested, because if it's a lower screen at birth, you actually end up seeing everything, and I did not need to see everything wide open, so I took that out. drape. We prefer a lower drape to see the birth but not the operation. Our baby, when our baby is born, please only gently wiping or drying of our baby. That's the same thing about the vernix. Immediate skin to skin, baby to stay with mom, and nursing. I would like the opportunity to nurse during my recovery and any support required to do so. So that's it, you guys. That is my birth plan / preferences. I hope that was helpful for you. I know it is kind of like a big scary chore or task thing that, you know, leading up to your due date, you may or may not feel the pressure to start working on, but I promise you, you'll learn everything you need to learn. There's so many great podcasts out there. There's so many great YouTubes out there. Built to Birth is a really great channel that I watched a lot when I was pregnant. And yeah, you'll do great. It's amazing. If you want to watch my birth story, make sure you check it out. And just remember that we were built to do this, and then you get a beautiful baby at the end of it, God willing. So I hope this was helpful. Let me know if you guys have any questions, and I'm happy to answer. Make sure you're following on my other socials on Instagram and TikTok, and I'll see you guys next time for the next video.